When we think about what makes a country truly wealthy, our minds usually jump to things like gold reserves, massive factories, or cutting-edge technology. But what if the most valuable asset isn't something you can see or hold at all? What if it's the collective brain power, the health, and the skills of its people? Today, we're diving into this idea of human capital and why it just might be the single most important investment a country can ever make. So let me just ask you that straight up. What is a country's most valuable asset? Now, before you answer, try to think beyond obvious stuff. It's not necessarily about the buildings or the machines, even though those are obviously important. Economists are pointing to something else entirely, something way more powerful and dynamic. To really get a handle on this, let's compare two big ideas. Over here, on the left, you've got physical capital. This is all the traditional stuff, the factories, the machinery, the tools. But on the right, we have human capital. And this isn't about what a country owns. It's about who its people are. It's their collective knowledge, their skills, and even their health. So what exactly is human capital? Well, here's the formal definition. It's the total stock of knowledge, ability, skill, and even the physical capacity of a nation's people at any one moment. That word, stock, is so important here. It basically reframes a population's talent as a measurable asset, almost like a stock of gold or oil. Right, and this stock isn't a fixed thing. It actually grows through a process called human capital formation. This is all about actively improving a population's abilities by deliberately investing in things like education, healthcare, and nutrition. The real takeaway here, this kind of capital doesn't just show up out of nowhere. You have to build it intentionally. Okay, so why does any of this really matter? Why are economists so obsessed with this idea? Well, because it turns out that investing in people isn't just a nice thing to do. It's the actual fundamental engine of modern economic growth. Let's break down exactly how that works. Think about it. A population that's well-educated and healthy is an absolute powerhouse. Just look at these points. It creates this amazing ripple effect. Skilled workers can pick up new technology way faster, which boosts productivity and a nation's entire economic output. But it's not just about being more efficient. This is what fuels real innovation, real change, and ultimately, a better quality of life for literally everyone. This is why so many economists believe it's the single best investment you can make, with the highest possible return. So, since education is clearly a huge part of building up this human capital, it's probably worth asking, how do we actually learn all this stuff? Well, it turns out knowledge comes to us through a few pretty distinct pathways. First up, you have formal education. This is the structured, systematic learning we're all familiar with. Schools, colleges, universities, the whole deal. Then there's informal education. This is the stuff we learn just by living our lives, through conversations, daily interactions, even from watching TV or listening to the radio. And finally, you have non-formal education. This is organized learning that happens outside that traditional system, like an evening school for adults. It's a super flexible way to gain new skills. And honestly, all three are totally vital. So that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in practice? To see these ideas playing out on a massive, almost unimaginable scale, let's take a look at a real-world experiment in human capital formation, India's incredibly ambitious new education playbook. Back in 2020, India launched its National Education Policy, or NEP. Now, this wasn't just some minor update. The stated goal was to bring transformational reforms that would completely overhaul the education system for over 1 billion people. It's like a textbook example of a country making a huge, strategic, long-term bet on its own human capital. And the scale of this ambition is just staggering. The policy's big headline goal is to get to 100% school enrollment, all the way from preschool to the secondary level by this year right here, 2030. That is a massive, massive push for universal education. One of the most fundamental changes is that they're completely tearing up the old school structure. The old 10+2 system is gone. It's being replaced by this new 5+3+3+4 model. It kicks off with a foundational stage for kids as young as 3, then moves them through preparatory, middle, and secondary stages. We're talking about a complete redesign of a student's entire journey through school. And these changes go deep. Students are now going to have multi-stream flexibility, which means breaking down those rigid walls between arts, science, and commerce. Practical, hands-on vocational training is going to be integrated right from class 6. And there's this huge push to get the basics right, with a national mission for foundational literacy and numeracy. It's all about building both broad knowledge and practical skills right from the get-go. And this revolution doesn't stop at school. It carries right on into higher education. Colleges are becoming multidisciplinary, so students can mix and match subjects like never before. Top-tier global universities will actually be allowed to set up campuses in India. But maybe the most radical shift of all is this idea of multiple exit options, which introduces this incredible new level of flexibility. This quote from the policy really spells it out. If you complete 1 year of a course, you get a certificate. You finish 2 years, you get an advanced diploma. Students are no longer penalized for having to drop out for whatever reason. Their learning is actually recognized at every single stage. It creates a system where people can jump in, jump out, and jump back into education whenever their lives demand it. It's a total game changer. So from the abstract economic theory to massive national policies like the one in India, the message is crystal clear. A country's people are its most precious resource. Which really just leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. If a population truly is a nation's greatest asset, what is the single best way to invest in it?